What does a comm badge have in common with an Android Wear or any kind of smartwatch? And what does a replicator have in common with a 3D printer? Well, if you watch Star Trek as closely as I do, you know that in some scenes, one individual will contact another through their comm badge without first tapping it. Now, I understand the whole business of, scripting and whatnot, but let's set that aside for a moment. Let's take the fictional and bring it into reality, okay? So let's say that that did happen. What that implies then is an always on mentality within the technology itself. That has been realized thanks to technology like Android Wear and the upcoming Apple Watch. The same can be said with a replicator. 3D printers are able to create objects like this little basket looking thing. I have no idea what it is. But the other day, I was at Best Buy and they have an Intel setup where they have one of these 3D printers, the Cube, and they showed some designs of devices that were made on it. Um, did I say devices? Objects. So they showed some objects they printed out with it, and they printed out things like an iPhone case and a little tiny basket and even a little toy robot. If you think about it,
5 o'clock p.m.
a comm badge and an Android Wear watch have the same always-on mentality. In fact, the only smartwatch that doesn't is that I know of that's classified as a smartwatch is the Pebble. And that's only because it doesn't have a microphone, it's not able to directly listen to you. Whereas with something like Android Wear or the Apple Watch, with built-in microphones, especially with Android Wear because of this OK Google business, the microphone has to be on always. And as a result, you know, the fact that Google knows what you want before you want it, the comm badges were the same way. The technology knew of the commands and the position of people. The only way to turn off, the only way to not be the only way to not be made aware of a person's location within the Star Trek universe was to remove your comm badge. In this instance, the only way to make a person unaware of your location would be to pull the battery out of your smartphone, or in this case, let the smartwatch battery drain completely. So, I think that a lot of predictions that have happened within the Star Trek universe have come to pass, but the most intriguing for me is 3D printing, sort of a caveman's replicator, because we obviously haven't gotten to the ability to replicate at an atomic level. I think that this technology, while it certainly can have its negative consequences, for instance, the whole paranoia of an always-on watch listening to your every conversation and possibly holding that against you, if you're in a society that doesn't approve of the way you do things. We also have a lot of positive implications as well. A lot of people, I'm sure, will be very happy with the convenience of being able to know that their connection at an airport is delayed by 3 hours before they even step out of their seat into the aisle to get their bags from the previous plane. In terms of replicators, in the classroom, in the medical field, huge benefits. As an example, let's say you're teaching a class about, the bone structures of the human body. Well, it's one thing to read about them, but it's another thing to feel them. And this is the way I look at it. Now, I know that the modern day education system is such where we wouldn't have the time, but let's put away the the modern day, the realities. Let's look at the implications. What I'm thinking is, if you're going to build a lesson in teaching about the bone structure of the human body, print out. Now, the idea is to use a material that, when hardened, would feel like actual physical bone from a real live human. So, you print out all the bones and build your own skeleton. This is especially wonderful for multimodal learners, for students with visual impairments, students with autism, students who are just hands-on learners in general. That lesson was only an example, but you can see where I'm going with this. 3D printing would have huge benefits in the classroom and in the medical field. For instance, let's say that you ended up with a fracture and it required surgery to repair. Well, the beautiful part about 3D printing is you could print out the necessary replacements. Now, I must, from what I understand, I think that's only limited to bones at the moment because of the way our organs can reject other organs. I don't know where they are in that field, but you understand where I'm going with this. So I think that 3D printing and smartwatches have wonderful implications for society in a positive light. Now, a lot of people are going to be crying foul at the smartwatches because of the privacy concerns. We need to understand that upcoming generations are going to be in a world where all they know is the constant surveillance. They never knew a world without it. And I think it's my generation that I didn't grow up with this always on connectivity, and especially generations before me. But generations after, it's all they're going to know. And we can fight this all we want, but technology is outpacing law, and I'm very serious about this. In a lot of instances, technology is very quickly outpacing the legal system. We can fight it all we want, but I think eventually we're just going to have to learn to live with it. And we already do with our smartphones. You know, it's very simple for somebody to go in, or I shouldn't say simple, it's obviously very complicated, but it's doable is the point. For somebody to go in and monitor everything that you do. The only way to not do that in the case of an iPhone is to let the battery run down, or in the case of a Galaxy, to take the battery out. So I think that, there are always, but then again, we take a look at the positives. We go back to that business with Google Now, and in the upcoming Apple Watch, we've got Siri. I just think that it's going to be really, really beneficial. And for the upcoming generations, it's what they're going to be born into. So this is one of those cases, I think, where technology and society can learn to live together. Technology is certainly outpacing society. We have to learn to keep up. But if we play our cards right, I think that this can be a real benefit for upcoming generations. Now, the key words are playing our cards right. That's going to be left up to the to humanity. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.